sure you're going to have a great time. Make sure you welcome somebody. I see your numbers are still rising, but make sure you welcome somebody, and we're going to have a great time. All right, we are in that month of November where we usually mostly this year, because by the beginning of December, we are going to finish our Bible studies a little bit earlier. So the last week of November would have finished with the second book of Samuel. And our last week of November, a Thursday, we're planning to have like not a Bible study, but we're still going to have a live broadcast in all the platforms, and we trust in God that you guys are going to log in and just push the live so that we talk about the conference and people can ask questions, and I think that's going to be a great thing to do. So, but we're still going to keep on announcing so that people plan to log in. I'm sure if all of us log in who are able to, I don't know, you have people who are not able to log in for Bible study, but I'm sure it's possible for us to have over 100 people logging in at the same time. You know, we're going to be live on TikTok. We might need to use different gadgets on TikTok. We're going to be live maybe on other social media platforms so that we just push the conference. And if we have 150 to 100 people logging in and everybody is sharing or answering questions that people have, the word is really going to go far. So that's just a preparation for you that we are going to close the Bible study this year with the second book of Samuel. So as soon as Gideon is done, possibly next week or the other one, then the last Thursday of November, then we won't have a Bible study. We're going to do a live broadcast whereby we speak about the conference, we invite the people, and that's going to be beautiful. So Gideon, I want to believe that you're ready to speak. Let me just pin you, and then you go ahead. Awesome. Okay, you can unmute Gideon, and then you can continue.
My desire is to walk with you, my Savior, on this holy journey until I am no more.
Praise God.
My desire.
Amen.
I hope my voice is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. We're gonna delve into the Bible study. We thank God for this part. Yeah, we are starting today at chapter 13. We were done with chapter 12 last week, and we tonight also trust God to take us even deeper in the knowledge of the Word. Such a blessing to just gather and do the Bible study together. Yeah, so the 12 we were done. David went through the chastisement of the Lord for what he did to the wife of Uriah, and we see that the Lord God takes him through a chastisement, and the child dies. So he fasted, trusted God to that he could show him mercy, but he went through it. So painful, but at the end, David is delivered from that wickedness that was in his soul. Yeah, so we come to chapter 13. We find, even though we'll flow with few themes, and we'll stress a little bit on others, and we trust God to grant us speed. Yeah, so we find the story of Amnon and Tamar, the children of the king. Amnon, the son of David, as it is recorded in verse 1, says, "And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar. And Amnon the son of David, loved her. Get the story of Amnon and Tamar. Amnon is a man mastered by the flesh, the lust, and he goes all the way to rape her sister Tamar. He devised a way, and she comes to his house and goes on to rape her. A representative of a man that is so much mastered by the flesh, the lust that was upon him, he was mastered by it, and he does something that is so it's never been done in Israel, as Tamar was saying even after the incident. He had a lust, was driven by lust. He never loved her sister even, but was just lustful, and takes her and breaks her virginity, breaks everything, and just ruins her life. Man that is driven by self, and at the end, it's recorded that he hated her, this sister so much more than how he loved her at first. We find a cycle that lust developed to a sin, and sin results to destruction of this life, the life of this uh, daughter of a king. As it is recorded in the book of James chapter 1 verse 15, that then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. This uh, this sister Tamar was recorded to be so beautiful, and she had a garment of many colors. Just down there, it is written that she had, as one of the virgins, daughters of the king, she had a garment of many colors. This signified her destiny. Also, we found in the book of Genesis, Joseph had also a garment of many colors. His father made him a garment of many colors because his destiny was so multifaceted. He had so many things. But we find this brother, Amnon, ruins her life just because of lust. This great destiny is ruined. A multifaceted destiny that had a lot of things in it is just ruined because of lust and by a very close family relative. She afterward puts off this garment and she puts on ashes, crying, lamenting, signifying a destruction, an end, because according to the custom of Israel, when someone, a young virgin, loses virginity, then it's like she will never be married again. She lost everything. She lost her marital destiny. Her destiny is just destroyed. She she puts on ashes, really laments that in verses 17 down there it says, then he called his servant, this after the incident, that ministered unto him, and said, put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying that this young man destroys the life of her sister, and just because of lust. Just because of lust. She rips off her garment, puts on her ashes, her purity is ruined, her virginity is broken, and we these are some evil, very evil programs that the enemy brings on to destroy such great destinies. That just one instant and a very promising destiny is destroyed. Evil programmings, evil programmings that we need to be so much sensitive, even to send prayer to preserve our destinies, that we scatter such things never to happen to us or to any one of us. Just one thing and a destiny is destroyed. Just an evil programming by someone so close to her, and her life is destroyed. How many lives are being destroyed that way, even in our society, in our generation right now? Just hear something and it sometimes even continues, and life of a young girl, young boy, it's just ruined because of lust. It is not anything, it is lust. When it is conceived, it brings sin, and sin brings death, according to the book of James chapter 1 verse 15. Because yes, it is dead, because our destiny is just destroyed. So even as we continue to stand and watch, we come against such evil programmings that the enemy might bring to destroy, to to rip off our destinies. Yeah, so that is it. This chapter is a very sad instance that happens to this one of the daughters of the king, and it leaves uh, a rivalry between Absalom and Amnon. These are brothers. This Tamar was a sister to Absalom, and this thing, as it is recorded in that chapter, he kept it in his heart. He remembered it, though he never reacted at first, but we'll see in the coming chapters. But it introduced a rivalry between these two brothers because of such an instance. So we come to chapter 14. Yeah, even before chapter 14, there is a rivalry just down there, and Absalom invites all the sons of the king to a feast because he had a feast. He was shearing the sheep, and Amnon comes and he plans to revenge what he did to the sister. He plans a revenge, and at the end, he smites Amnon and he kills, revenging the death, the destruction, or the thing that he did to Tamar, his sister. And this is such a sad instance and a rivalry, and at the end we see revenge, see a sibling rivalry, and it results to the death of Amnon. That is how sin grows. Just as we have read the book of James, that at the end of it, it brings death. At the end of sin, what results to it is death. That's what he says in the book of Romans, that the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ. So this sin that he did, at the end, it resulted to death. Yes, the life of this daughter the destiny was destroyed, but at the end of it, Amnon also died because of just a lust that he had. And even as it is written there, he could have just spoken to the king and be given. It was possible, but lust driven him to death. That's how much we need to put off the old man, mortify the flesh. We enter chapter 14. Absalom runs after killing Amnon, and the king weeps so much, laments and weeps for his son Amnon. But at the end of it, he is somehow losing two sons, because Absalom also runs and goes to stay in Syria, and the king longs so much to see or to meet again his son Absalom. In chapter 14, Joab notices the heart of the king, that he longed for him to return. He longed for Absalom to return. We see a head of a father, that even after this, after what happened, he still longs to see his son, because yes, he lost one, but there's nothing he can do about it. But this other one is just running away, and he longs to see his son again. And Job devises a way to make a king to accept to bring back Absalom to Jerusalem, to Israel. And we find out up down there that the king allows Absalom to come back, and he returns to Jerusalem and stays 2 years before even seeing the king. And at the end of it, we see the king. Absalom comes to the king, and he embraces Absalom and kissed him, and shows such a heart of a father. That's just as the prodigal son was received back. Even this son, after what he did, David embraces him and takes him back. So Absalom, at the end of chapter 14, Absalom has returned to Jerusalem, to Israel, and he is received by his father back to the city of Jerusalem. But this guy now seems to have learned something. See, in the last verse of chapter 14, the Bible says, "So Job came to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom." It's a sign of love and receiving him back. So we come to chapter 15. Absalom now comes back, but this guy seems to have he has learned something so different, and he plots actually to dethrone his father. As we start to read verse 1, chapter 15, the Bible says, "And it came to pass after this, that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom stood beside the way of the gate, and it was so that when any man had a controversy, came to the king for judgment, when Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is one of the church of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no